Hello and welcome to this edition of Cisco Talks. I'm James McNabb with Cisco, and we are going to be talking about the topic of the importance of identity in breach readiness and response. I'm delighted to be joined by Richard Dean, who is a security specialist in our customer experience organization. Richard, welcome. Could you start by explaining to us the customer experience organization at Cisco and what they do?
So Cisco's customer experience organization is our services organization. So we are there to help customers who are finding things difficult to accelerate their adoption of technology and help them achieve their security goals, or their goals in general, but from my point of view, for security.
Very good. You obviously engage with a lot of customers on a very frequent basis. Can you share with us what you're seeing in terms of their key security challenges and priorities?
So what we're seeing at the moment is a lot of focus on breach response, breach readiness. We see that coming in from legislation like GDPR, where organizations need to know what to do if they become breached. They need to be able to detect if they've been breached. So working with them to understand how they can detect that, how they look at all the data. You've got a big transition between private clouds to clouds from the other big providers like Google and Azure, and there's a lot of data that's getting created. So how do you go and process that and understand what's going on in your network to be able to talk about breaches when they happen?
And as it relates to identity, we hear this term of zero trust. Can you explain what zero trust is and how using that as a framework can be helpful to organizations as they try and improve the capability of their breach readiness and response?
Yeah, zero trust is taking the concept of a perimeter on a network and changing it slightly. In the old days, you used to have a big perimeter around your network, a big firewall, and that's what you'd have for your defensive. What has been seen is that if an attacker bypasses that perimeter, then they've got free reign across the internal network, and normally internal networks aren't as well protected. So the concept of zero trust is saying that you need to protect all of your networks the same. Don't trust someone just because they're on your internal network, making sure that you're validating their identity before you give them access to anything, whether that's cloud services or your on-prem applications that you give them access to.
On that topic, we saw in the 2019 CISO benchmark report a trend towards greater consolidation. A year ago, we saw that 54% of CISOs were using solutions from 10 vendors or fewer, and that had increased to 63% this year. That suggests a tendency of organizations to use fewer vendors. Is that something that you're seeing in your conversations with customers?
Yeah, definitely, and we're seeing it for two different reasons. One, from the ability to manage it. If you've got so many different types of devices from vendors, managing it becomes difficult. But from the breach response, the information side, if you've got lots of different sources that aren't necessarily compatible with each other, it just becomes difficult. So what we're doing is working with the Cisco product teams to work out how we've got a unified set of tooling from Cisco put together to be able to give customers that better single pane of glass for visibility into what's happening on their networks so that they are prepared if a breach occurs.
Very good. From everything that you've seen, is there any particular closing advice that you would offer to our customers and to organizations in general?
So one of the acquisitions that Cisco made, I think about 12 months ago, was Duo Security. When we're talking about zero trust and talking about identity, Duo does a really good job of that. They've got the multi-factor authentication. I think there's 81% of breaches that we've seen come from stolen credentials or weak credentials. So having multi-factor authentication in there is good, but they don't just do that. They're looking at posture checking devices. They've got policy enforcement in there, so you can make sure that certain sets of data that's sensitive gets more controls in place than less controls in place. And it's such a simple and easy solution to use. It makes it really good for customers to be able to take on and help move their security in the right direction.
Very good. Thanks, Richard. Thank you for watching. And to find out more information, please go to cisco.co.uk.